What happens when God finds you? Have you ever looked around at your life and wondered if God has forgotten about you? Have you ever sat alone with your thoughts and asked yourself why some people seem so close to God while you feel distant, tired, confused, and lost? If you have ever felt that way, then this message is for you. One of the biggest misunderstandings many people have is thinking that they found God. The truth is that before you ever started looking for Him, He was already looking for you. Before you prayed your first prayer, God knew your name. Before you cried those tears that nobody saw, God saw every single one of them. Before you made that decision to turn your life around, God was already working behind the scenes. When God finds you, something begins to change deep inside you. It may not happen all at once. It may not be dramatic. It may not even make sense at first. But suddenly the things that once satisfied you start feeling empty. The things you once chased begin losing their grip on your heart. The life you were living starts feeling too small for the purpose God has placed inside you. Many people expect fireworks when God finds them, but often it starts with a quiet discomfort. It starts with a feeling that there has to be more to life than what you are currently experiencing. When God finds you, He begins to wake you up spiritually. Things you ignored before suddenly get your attention. You start noticing lessons in places where you never saw them before. A Bible verse that once sounded ordinary suddenly speaks directly to your situation. A sermon feels like it was made specifically for you. Conversations begin touching parts of your heart that have been asleep for years. God has a way of getting our attention without forcing us. He knows exactly how to speak to each person. Sometimes He speaks through blessings. Sometimes He speaks through struggles. Sometimes He speaks through unexpected delays. Sometimes He speaks through closed doors. Looking back, many people realize that what they thought was a setback was actually God redirecting their path. What felt like rejection was really protection. What felt like abandonment was actually preparation. God was not punishing them. He was positioning them. One of the first things that happens when God finds you is that He starts exposing things that cannot go with you into your future. This is not always comfortable. In fact, it can be painful. Suddenly certain habits don't feel right anymore. Certain friendships begin to change. Certain environments become difficult to stay in. The old version of you starts clashing with the new direction God is calling you toward. Many people mistake this season for confusion, but it is often a sign of transformation. Growth is rarely comfortable. The caterpillar cannot become a butterfly without leaving its old form behind. In the same way, God often removes things from your life because He loves you too much to leave you where you are. What feels like loss may actually be God making room for something greater. When God finds you, He also starts healing wounds you have carried for years. Some wounds came from people. Some came from disappointment. Some came from your own mistakes. Many people spend years pretending they are fine while carrying pain they have never truly dealt with. God does not just look at your behavior. He looks at your heart. He sees the hidden hurts. He sees the silent battles. He sees the memories that still make you emotional. He sees the fears you do not tell anyone about. The beautiful thing about God is that He does not expose your wounds to shame you. He exposes them to heal you. Healing is often a process. It takes time. It takes trust. It takes surrender. But little by little, God begins restoring what life tried to break. Another thing that happens when God finds you is that your priorities begin to change. Things that once seemed extremely important start losing their importance. You begin caring more about purpose than popularity. You begin caring more about peace than appearances. You begin caring more about obedience than approval. The opinions of people start carrying less weight because you become more focused on what God thinks. This does not mean you become perfect. It does not mean you stop making mistakes. It means your direction changes. Your heart starts moving toward God even when you stumble along the way. The closer you get to Him, the more you realize that true success is not having everything you want. True success is becoming who God created you to be. The signs God is drawing you closer. One thing many people do not realize is that when God starts drawing you closer, life does not always get easier right away. In fact, Sometimes it feels like everything becomes more confusing before it becomes clear. You may find yourself questioning things you never questioned before. You may start feeling uncomfortable in places where you once felt completely at home. You may notice that certain conversations no longer interest you the way they used to. It can feel strange because the outside of your life may look exactly the same while something on the inside is changing dramatically. This is one of the ways God works. He often changes your heart before He changes your circumstances. Many people pray for God to change their situation, but God first starts changing them. He begins preparing them for the blessings, responsibilities, and purpose that lie ahead. The problem is that preparation often feels uncomfortable. Growth stretches us. Transformation challenges us. The old version of you wants to stay where it is comfortable, but God is calling you into something greater. Have you ever felt like you no longer fit in where you used to belong? Maybe your friends are doing the same things they have always done, but somehow it does not feel right anymore. Maybe the entertainment that once consumed your attention now leaves you feeling empty. Maybe you have achieved things you thought would make you happy, only to discover that something is still missing. These moments can feel lonely, but they are often signs that God is doing a deeper work in your life. He is teaching you that your identity cannot be built on temporary things. Jobs can change, relationships can change, financial situations can change, people's opinions can change. But when your identity is rooted in God, you have a foundation that remains steady no matter what happens around you. God wants you to build your life on something stronger than circumstances. He wants you to know who you are before He shows you where you are going. Another sign that God is drawing you closer is that He starts exposing the distractions that have been stealing your focus. We live in a world full of noise. Every day there is something competing for our attention. Social media wants our attention. Worries want our attention. Fear wants our attention. Comparison wants our attention. The enemy knows that if he cannot destroy your purpose, he will try to distract you from it. That is why God sometimes allows us to become dissatisfied with things that once entertained us. He is not trying to take away our joy. He is trying to redirect our attention. Some people spend years chasing things that look exciting but never truly satisfy the soul. God knows that nothing in this world can fill the space in your heart that was created for Him. The sooner we understand this, the sooner we stop looking for permanent fulfillment in temporary places. One of the hardest parts about being found by God is facing the truth about ourselves. Most people like to focus on the problems around them, but God often starts by dealing with the issues inside them. He lovingly reveals attitudes that need to change. He reveals wounds that need healing. He reveals fears that need surrendering. This process can be uncomfortable because nobody enjoys confronting their weaknesses. Yet God does not reveal these things to condemn us. He reveals them because He loves us. A good doctor cannot heal what he refuses to diagnose. In the same way, God lovingly points out the areas of our lives that need His touch. He sees the anger hidden behind our smiles. He sees the insecurity hidden behind our confidence. He sees the pain hidden behind our success. He sees everything, and He still loves us completely. Sometimes God finds you in the middle of a storm, not after the storm, not when everything is finally working out, right in the middle of it. Many people assume that God's presence is strongest when life is easy, but some of the deepest encounters with God happen during difficult seasons. When you run out of answers, you start looking for Him. When your plans fall apart, you become more open to His plans. When the things you trusted fail you, you discover that God never will. Looking back, many believers can honestly say that they met God most powerfully during seasons they never would have chosen for themselves. The heartbreak they hated became the turning point that brought them closer to Him. The disappointment they wanted to avoid became the moment they learned to trust Him. The struggle they prayed would end became the place where their faith became real. Another powerful thing happens when God finds you. He starts showing you that your past does not have the final say over your future. Many people live trapped by mistakes they made years ago. They constantly replay old failures in their minds. They carry guilt like a heavy backpack everywhere they go. They believe that because they made bad choices, God cannot use them. But the Bible is full of people whose stories prove otherwise. God used people who failed. He used people who doubted. He used people who ran away. He used people who made serious mistakes. The common thread was not their perfection. The common thread was God's grace. When God finds you, He wants you to understand that your past may explain you, but it does not define you. Your mistakes may be part of your story, but they are not the end of your story. As God draws you closer, you also begin to notice His hand in places where you never noticed it before. You start looking back and realizing that certain events were not coincidences. Certain doors closed for a reason. Certain people entered your life at exactly the right time. Certain delays protected you from things you could not see. What once looked random begins to reveal a pattern. You start recognizing that God was working long before you were aware of it. This realization builds trust. It reminds you that if God was faithful then, He will be faithful now. If He carried you through previous battles, He can carry you through the current one. If He provided before, He can provide again. Faith grows when we remember what God has already done. The truth is that when God finds you, He is not simply trying to improve your life. He is trying to transform your life. He is not interested in making a few small adjustments while everything else stays the same. He wants to reshape your heart, strengthen your faith, heal your wounds, and reveal your purpose. This process takes time. There will be moments when you feel excited and moments when you feel frustrated. There will be days when you feel close to God and days when you wonder where He is. But do not judge God's work by a single season. The same God who started the work in you is committed to finishing it. Even when you cannot see progress, He is working. Even when you do not feel different, He is working. Even when life feels uncertain, He is working. And one day you will look back and realize that the moment God found you was the moment everything truly began to change. When God finds you, He gives you a new perspective on your struggles. Problems do not automatically disappear. Challenges do not suddenly vanish. Life still happens, but something changes inside you. You begin seeing difficulties differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is God teaching me through this?" Instead of seeing every obstacle as proof that God has left you, you begin trusting that He is working even when you cannot see it. Faith grows when circumstances tell you one thing, but God promises another. Many of the strongest believers did not develop their faith during easy seasons. Their faith was built during storms. They learned that God was faithful not because life was easy, but because He stayed with them through every difficult moment. One of the most powerful signs that God has found you is that you start feeling drawn toward Him even when you do not fully understand why. You begin wanting more of His presence. You begin seeking Him during good times and bad times. Prayer becomes more than a religious routine. It becomes a conversation. Worship becomes more than music. It becomes a connection. Reading Scripture becomes more than checking a box. It becomes nourishment for your soul. You start realizing that what your heart was searching for all along was not more money, more attention, more achievements, or more possessions. What your heart was searching for was God. The emptiness many people feel is often a spiritual hunger that nothing in this world can satisfy. The most beautiful thing that happens when God finds you is that you discover you were never truly alone. Even during the seasons when you felt abandoned, He was there. Even during the nights when you cried yourself to sleep, He was there. Even during the mistakes you regret, He was there. Even during the moments when you doubted Him, He was there. God has been writing a story bigger than anything you can currently see. Every struggle, every lesson, every victory, and every setback has been part of a journey that is leading you closer to Him. If God is calling you today, do not ignore that feeling. Do not dismiss that conviction. Do not assume it is random. Sometimes the very reason you clicked on a message like this is because God is already working in your life. He is not waiting for you to become perfect. He is simply asking you to come closer. And when you do, you will discover that the God you have been searching for has been searching for you all along. As we come to the end of this message, I want you to remember one simple truth. If God has been speaking to your heart, pulling you closer, or stirring something deep inside you, it is not by accident. God knows your story, your struggles, your questions, and even the battles you fight in silence. No matter where you are in your journey right now, He has not given up on you, and His plans for your life are far greater than you can imagine. If this message encouraged you, touched your heart, or helped you see God's love in a new way, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and join our growing family of believers. There are so many powerful, faith-building messages still to come, and I would love for you to be part of every one of them. Also, let me know in the comments, have you ever experienced a moment when you knew God was calling you closer? Your story may encourage someone else who needs hope today. Thank you for spending this time with me, and until our next video, stay close to God, keep trusting His timing, keep believing His promises, and remember that the God who found you will never leave you. I'll see you in the next one.